Welcome back to Something RXC. Today we've got another co-host joining us to the podcast. If she doesn't get too scared from this first one, hopefully she'll stick around. This is my partner and co-host for today, Lauren. How are you going, Lauren?
Yeah, good. Hey guys.
So we just recently went to the games, and it was pretty cool, pretty exciting. Second time we've been there. This year's games were pretty brutal. The workouts were pretty intense. A lot of the athletes were pretty worn out by the events of the other 4 days. What did you think about the games, Lauren, while we were there?
I thought Murph was brutal on the Friday, second day of the games. That really set the tone for what was going to happen for the rest of the weekend. One specific athlete going down from heat exhaustion, a couple really slowing down from it was really noticeable, and it wearing down the athletes so much made a big difference for what happened on the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, and I don't think people realize how hot it was over in Carson. I was worn out just watching from the stands. I felt like I needed a bit of a IV drop and some cooler bags by my side. It was really hot. It was a bit of a marathon viewing just being there, and let alone being out there in the field in the humid grass as well. I think it would have made a huge difference. Another thing that was happening over at the games is some of the events were a little bit different to other years. Some of them seemed a little bit random and things that people couldn't really train for. What event would you have not wanted to do if we were there competing?
Sandbag carry with the wall scale. I mean, I did scale that wall after we watched it, and I would probably be a lot taller than a lot of the other people that were out there, and that was hard, and I did that fresh rather than having to run up and down with those sandbags. That would have been tough.
Yeah, that wall is a lot higher than I think people realize. We're probably not just normal height for CrossFit athletes, and you'd be a tall CrossFit athlete. You'd be 5'7".
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of the girls are 3'7". So I felt for Amanda Goodman. If you remember her really struggling to throw that bag over.
I think they said she was 5 foot flat. 5 foot?
Yeah,
exactly. So
5 foot. Yeah, I mean those heavy bags would have been 70-pound bag of sand trying to chuck it over. Other things that happened over at the games, there was that heavy DT, which was thrown out by the fans. Dave Castro decided today, this time, that the fans could choose what version of DT the athletes did, whether it was double DT or heavy DT. And most of the athletes wanted heavy DT because they would feel like they'd be too sore from double DT.
Yeah.
I personally would have been happy with heavy DT. What do you reckon you would have been happy with?
Definitely heavy DT. I mean, it would have taken forever, but definitely beats doing double DT. I don't know. I reckon they could have gone a little bit heavier in that heavy DT. Make it 225 and 155. What do you reckon? Well, not all the athletes finished as it was, so I think that would have been hard, but would have been interesting to watch.
Yeah, double DT I think would have just been too long, and they would have been destroyed for the rest of the week, especially for that pegboard event at the end.
Yeah, it definitely got to a lot of athletes. Chad McKay obviously breaking a rib. So that's not real good. If they had got a lot heavier, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely. So many athletes pulled out from this year. Maybe there's been as many athletes that have pulled out from other years, but this year maybe it just seemed more noticeable because it was more of the well-known athletes. Yeah. But Annie Thorsdottir pulling out last day, Chad McKay pulling out during heavy DT, Cara Webb almost pulling out. Who else? Danny
Horan didn't
compete.
Start.
Yep. Maddie Myers, yeah, I think one of the youngest CrossFit athletes, she had to pull out. Joe Scally pulled out. Kevin
Neil Maddox,
torn hamstring. Is that what happened?
I thought he rolled his ankle from the sprint, but I read that it was hamstring.
Wow, torn hamstring. So there you go. Was it really this much more brutal? I mean, we both have seen every other year's games.
I think so, and you could see it in the athletes that it just wore them down so much more. I think it definitely looked worse than last year.
Yeah.
It was, interesting programming, but brutal.
Yeah, definitely very intense. I don't know, there was lots of times when you'd see the athletes put the bar down and you were like, why aren't you picking it up? You're meant to be superhuman, you're meant to be a super athlete here, and you're just kind of letting it go. But I thought it was really, really interesting to see that they you know, there were so many moments where you could see the athletes, you know, have to really dig deep mentally and decide whether they were there to win or whether they were there to compete, which is something that Dave Castro, you know, he made a little post about it on Instagram. Lauren's laughing because I'm calling him Dave Castro.
The Dave Castro.
The Dave Castro.
Instagram handle.
You know, he was saying, you know, are you going there to compete or are you going there to win? And you could see it in the athletes, which ones were there to actually compete and which ones were there to just go there for the sake of being there.
Yeah.
Who was somebody that stuck out to you the most? You know, that maybe you weren't following before the games, and after seeing them this year, you know, made a big impression on you.
Sarah Sigmund's daughter, never heard of her before. Rookie, first year at the games. Looked to be, she was in first position for a lot of the weekend, looked like she was going to take it out easy. And obviously, in the end, she dropped after those last 2 workouts, but never heard of her, and she just did amazing. Icelandic girls, super strong.
Yeah, so throughout most, well, before I say that, throughout most of the games we were watching and before the events would come up, you know, I'd say to Lauren, like, oh, who do you reckon's going to take this? Let's make bets. And Lauren doesn't know this, but there was obviously one of the daughter's friends in the stands behind us, and he was eavesdropping, you know, on the conversation, and they were saying how much, you know, Sarah was able to snatch before the snatch event went by. So I think as soon as that happened, I eavesdropped on one of their friends talking about her. I was like, oh, you know, she's definitely going to take it. And, you know, throughout most of the competition, I kept, you know, going with the daughters for winning most of the events, and they really did well. What
about on the men's side? Who do you reckon was a standout? Who?
Men's side, I'm a bit of a CrossFit geek. I follow most of these people on Instagram, probably a little bit too much, and maybe a little bit too much about their lives. But somebody who did really well when I wanted them to, and I guess he's a rookie to the games this year as an individual athlete, but somebody that I liked was Chad Melton. Somebody else that I really like that maybe doesn't get as much spotlight, Joe Scally. I hadn't heard too much about him before, and I thought he did really well in a couple of events. That, you know, I like when people, you know, kind of fight their way through an event. You know, they're not leading the pack in the event, and then they end up, you know, winning somehow. People count him out all the time, but, you know, one of my favorites is Graham Holmberg. He's not a rookie, but, you know, I'm always cheering for the ex-champ to do well and go out there and, you know, really take it. And I don't know, it's really hard to say. I mean, rookies to other people who maybe don't know them, but for all the American people out there, you know, Ben Gerard, you know, maybe he's not as known as other people because he hasn't competed at the games before, but he's a great athlete, and, you know, he did really well. I believe he finished 15th.
Yeah, about that. Although he was top 10, I think, for a lot of the weekend. It was just, in the end, missing the clean jet.
Did he?
He didn't get a score.
Didn't get a score, yeah.
He missed both his legs.
Okay, yeah.
Which hurt him on scoreboard.
Damn. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, so those would be my picks. Other things about the games, the final, before we talk about, you know, the battle between the men and the women. What did you think about the pegboard? Do you think that's a good functional piece of testing here? Are we testing all modalities with that, or do you reckon that was a little bit too random and too specific?
Well, you know, before it started, you're like, oh, who do you think will take this? No idea. Who would have had experience with that? No one. Like, it's interesting to watch to see who can pick it up the quickest, but it was rough. It would have been hard mentally when you couldn't even get one rep on that pegboard to then go into the next workout and expect to do well. You'd have been heartbroken. You could see the frustration on so many athletes' faces.
Yeah, it was.
So I mean, it was cool to see it chucked in there, but was it necessary? Probably not.
See, like, I liked it because of the fact that it's, you know, with a lot of these CrossFit workouts, like, you know, I always think about, like, well, how would I do if I were to do that? And I know if I had to do a pegboard challenge, I would suck at it incredibly because I'm not athletic. And I'm a good exerciser, but I'm not a good, you know, athletic. I'm not a very good athlete. And I thought it was a good test to see who can figure it out on the spot.
Okay, yeah, I definitely looked at that and was like, I could totally do that.
Okay, yeah, and you know, like, that's the sort of thing where, like, you know, you're a good athlete, and I'm a pretty crappy athlete. But it was pretty random. I mean, of all the choices of things, a pegboard, maybe like a proper rock climb. They could have brought in like a mountain thing to climb. You know, why not?
Mountain to climb.
The rogue mountain.
A rock climbing wall.
The rogue mountain. You know, one take one for all, something like that. I don't know. it's funny how many people, I think throughout the whole world right now are going to be asking their CrossFit owners, when are we getting a pegboard, when are we installing one? And to all the CrossFit gyms out there that have pegboards, I'm sure people will be using them.
Yeah, they'll definitely be using them now.
I know I saw that, Ben Norman from CrossFit Adelaide said, finally an event that I could probably do alright at because he's got a couple of pegboards installed over at CrossFit Adelaide. Very, very interesting. The final, it came down so close, nobody, I'm not saying nobody could have predicted this, but the two favourites for the weekend to win didn't win. So on the women's.
Yeah, women's, that was definitely a surprise. I think that a lot of the top girls that going into it weren't really around to be seen at all. I thought that Cara Webb might finish on top. Obviously thought that Camille and Sam Briggs would do pretty well. Briggs finishing in 5th, I think, still did obviously pretty well, but they didn't end up where I thought they would. On the men's side, I expected Fraser to have it in the bag. I've always been a big fan of Ben Smith for a long time, but I wasn't expecting him to take top spot, but was obviously really happy that he did. But yeah, in the final, the battle was very interesting on the men's side. What do you reckon?
I don't know, yes, there's people that you start following and you want them to do so well, and I still remember just counting rep for rep with Matt Fraser and Ben Smith when they were doing their handstand push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4,
you were so loud.
5, 6, fail, and he just couldn't keep going, and it was just that must have been so painful for him to see that championship slipping away.
Yeah.
And then he does the comeback from behind, and he kills himself on the roller, destroys the airline, goes up to those dumbbells, those kettlebells, and he can't pick him up. Yeah, I don't know.
I was screaming. I absolutely thought that Fraser was going to take over Smith once he got through the roller and air bike so quickly, but he obviously was way too spent by the time he got to
I
those
know,
kettlebells.
and the other thing that I'm not sure if you remember, but Ben Smith told bike, he was just chalking up his hands, having a good chat with someone else, thinking about life, and didn't really get to it straight away. And I was like, surely this is giving Matt the chance to catch up and go for it. And he obviously went too hard, and his CNS system was drained out because he couldn't pick him up. And Matt's meant to be one of the stronger guys there. His clean and jerk is probably the highest, if not the second highest, of the games at the moment. He's reported to have a 300-pound snatch, or pretty close to that. So he's not a weak guy, but he really struggled with those kettlebells.
Yeah. Ben Smith obviously moves a bit slower through them, and that's why I thought that Fraser was going to take over, given how strong he was, or is, but he had nothing left by the time he got to him.
And now another thing I don't think people realise is, there's a big controversy always in CrossFit with these guys being on steroids and, them taking performance-enhancing drugs. They all look really big and buff when they're there, but a lot of them are really they're not the biggest guys in the world when you physically see them face to face.
No, they don't look as big up close as to what they do on Instagram.
Yeah, for example, most of them weren't taller or bigger than I am, and I'm by no means at all on steroids. And now that we have Ben Smith representing, the CrossFit world,
hasn't exactly got the body look, the body type that people were expecting of the Games champion.
No, but he definitely, he showed that it wasn't about, you don't have to have the world's best genetics to be the champion. Hard work and showing up year after year after year, eventually gets to the title, and that's kind of I think it's going to be really inspiring to a lot of people who, maybe looked at Rich before and, I need to look like that, I need to be like that to be, this champion. And now you see that we have this other position where we have someone like Ben Smith, who still looks great. It's not like he doesn't look good, but he just doesn't have that superhuman physique that maybe Rich and some of the other guys did.
Not one of the bigger guys, yet he's a lot stronger than most.
Yeah, exactly. His snatches over 300 pounds, which for most people who don't know that's 136 kilos, something like that. That's pretty legit. It's a lot more than I'll ever snatch in my life. It's a lot more than I'll probably ever clean and jerk. Definitely interesting. Camille, previous champ, didn't do so well this year.
And hasn't really spoken out much about it, so I don't really know what happened there.
Yeah, I felt for her. You could see the frustration in her eyes, setting in very early at the start of the games, and then more frustration setting in further out. The
snatch sprint, that's what did it for her, I think.
Yeah.
I reckon that just mentally ruined her for the rest of the weekend.
I couldn't tell why the no reps were happening, personally. Could you tell what was happening?
Well, no. I mean, she got no reps. I don't know why, but then she failed the lift. I think it just psyched her out. Was too slow, didn't make it past the first heat, and was crying and throwing things. So I think that really messed her up for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
The weekend, yeah.
Another thing really cool that happened at the event was, you know, kind of cool, a little bit scary, was Easy Muhammad failing a snatch, dropping 275 pounds on him, dropping on the ground, laying on the ground a little bit. We were like, is he going to get up? Is this going to be a, you know, Kevin Ogre-ish type thing happening here again? Gets up, chalks up, and then gets a lift.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. And then did he go for another one after that?
No, that was the highest one. Yeah, that was the last lift, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a lot of really inspiring moments, you know, to seeing what, I don't know, you could just really see on the floor that it wasn't just people's physical abilities being tested, it was their mental capacity.
Yeah, this year definitely more mental, I think. Some of the things they were put through. It's just that mirth, man. Screw people up.
I know, like such a simple workout that probably all of those games athletes have done like hundreds of they've all done hundreds and thousands of push-ups, pull-ups, squats.
Yeah.
And out of all the things, that's the thing that really destroyed them.
And you can see on Instagram, you know, if you follow some of the athletes, so many of them were talking about not being able to straighten their arms.
Yep.
So that would have had to have affected them greatly for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah. No, definitely. It was intense.
Ruined the biceps.
Ouchie, ouch. All right, guys, we'll come back after the break and we'll keep talking about the games. You let me know when we're good to go.
I'm ready, Kerwin. That nice moment.
Welcome back, guys. We have both jumped on the Nike bandwagon, as you can see. Got these cool band edition of the Nikes. On the inside of the shoe, there's a little X band of the CrossFit Games. People make too much of a deal of a thing about it than they should. You know, in every sporting organisation, whoever the sponsor is, dictates the rules of what you're allowed to not allowed to wear. Just because I'm wearing Nikes doesn't mean I'll wear Nikes for life. It just means that as a CrossFitter, we love buying stuff and we have more stuff to buy now.
Had to try them. Had to see what the hype was about.
Anyway, welcome back. Sorry to get distracted by that. We're talking about the CrossFit Games and our experience there, what we thought. The Vendors Village. If you've never been to the CrossFit Games and you like shopping and you like CrossFit, which by default, if you like CrossFit and you're a CrossFitter, then you probably like shopping. You know, it's kind of like a bit of equipment buying heaven and apparel buying heaven. Me and Lauren's probably spent thousands of dollars over there buying too many things that we didn't need.
Just on gym clothes.
Just on gym clothes.
What was your count on t-shirts? 15?
18 t-shirts.
Mine was 18. I remember his was 15.
No, mine was 18.
Okay, then mine was probably more.
Yes, probably like 30. This is a cool t-shirt I found. Keep your enemies close, but keep your bar closer.
Mine is very well suited to me. Barbells and cupcakes.
Probably more the cupcakes than the barbells. So one reason to go to the CrossFit Games, if you've never been to them and you want to go to them, is they have, you know, just if you like shopping, they're actually really cool. We got to meet Hillary Froning, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not quite with Froning, but we were in a cinema with Rich Froning for about 5 minutes, which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
I mean, we were kind of in the same room. I mean, we might as well be buddies now, really.
Besties for
Besties, yeah. But we got to meet Hillary Froning, which was cool.
Had a chat to her. It was like the day after seeing the documentary, I think.
It was, maybe 3 days after the documentary. We saw the Rich Froning documentary, which is pretty cool. If you haven't heard of that, it's called Froning. It'll be available in September in iTunes, probably to buy or to rent. What did you think of the documentary?
Yeah, it was really good. Better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I wasn't a heap psyched about seeing it.
So I was so excited about it. So we live in Australia, and the States are 16 to 15 hours away. So we don't know how far away Australia is from the States via airplane. That you could only buy tickets on Wednesday night at 12 p.m. or something like that, and we were going to be flying over in the air, and I wanted to go to the documentary so much that I asked a friend over here to buy them for me while we were over in the plane so that we could get tickets to go see it. And it was really cool. We went over there, got to see it. We had the movie introduced to us by the filmmaker, director, Herb Cannon, who's a staff member of CrossFit HQ media department. And yeah, Rich Frank came out, said hello to us, you know, introduced the film to us, and the film was really good. It made me want to train so much that I'm considering just going out to train now and not doing this podcast because I feel so amped from the movie. It was really cool.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was really good. I think it's the ultimate CrossFit film. You know, what he's done in the sport is really cool. And you know, just getting a good view at like him as a person outside of just him as a training human being, exercising machine, was pretty cool. You know, seeing the ups and downs of his life, and you know, the process of him, you know, getting you know, his daughter and, you know, getting an insight from his friends and family was really cool. The one thing that I took away from the movie is that I'm not as competitive as Rich Froning, so maybe I'll never win the CrossFit Games. You know, because competitiveness is something definitely that stuck out to me from the film about him.
Yeah.
What stuck out to you from the film?
Oh, I was probably more moved by his family connections. They talked a lot about his connections to his cousins, 2 out of the 3 cousins that had passed away. Like, I found that really interesting how they touched on that so much and talked about his relationships with them and how one in particular really pushed him throughout his childhood and teens to make him become as competitive as he was, because they competed against each other a lot. So that was pretty emotional, like how much they talked about that and everything, and obviously the process of adoption. Hilary Froning talking a lot about all of that, and so that connected with me a lot, as opposed to just all of the training and everything that you probably liked to see.
I mean, if it was just like a movie of him just exercising for 12 hours, I'd probably watch it.
You would definitely be okay with that?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. And that's kind of weird. It's just, you know, seeing a half-naked dude just, you know, lifting a dumbbell a couple of times. But I don't know, I'm into it. And I know other CrossFitters are into it as well. So don't you judge me over there, because you would be doing the same thing and then complaining about it on Facebook. Back to the games. The Masters. We got to meet Matt Swift, CrossFit Games champion master, and the 44 to 49 age category, I believe. Yes, I'm correct. He won this year, which is pretty cool. Matt Swift is, you know, the owner and head coach of CrossFit Brisbane over in Queensland, here in Australia. Really cool to see, and also doing so well. He beat Bill Grunler, who's another well-known CrossFit athlete. He's been trying to make him run at the games for quite a number of years in the SoCal region. And this year he finally decided to step up over to the Masters competition, and Matt Swift took it out for him. So that was pretty cool to watch. Do you know all the, I know we didn't see all the Masters events, but what did you think about the Masters competition this year?
Probably less brutal than the individual competitions. They looked a little bit more achievable, but the things that those masters can do are still ridiculously impressive, better than what I can do.
There was a 60-year-old male who did a 112.5 or 15 kilo thruster.
Wow.
That's my one rep max thruster, 115 kilos.
And he was 60.
And he was 60.
That's impressive.
So there's hope, kids. I mean, if you're only, you know, thrusting 50 kilos now, maybe when you're 60, you'll be thrusting a lot. That's really crazy. I mean, let that sink in. A 60-year-old lifting that much weight. It's crazy. Amanda Allen, friend of the show, came 3rd in the Masters competition. She wasn't expecting too much from this year's competition. So it's pretty awesome to see that she did so well.
Yeah, we caught up with her, said hello to her in the vendors village at the Barbells for Boobs tent. So it was cool to catch up with her.
Yeah.
Raul got to try on the medallion that she won.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. But you have to be fit enough to be wearing that, and she obviously is. You know, I look forward to seeing her compete next year. I think she'll do pretty well. You know, when she gets all of her training. You know, she's so mentally ready to, you know, go and attack it and win again. I think she'll do awesome. Masters definitely look more doable than individuals. I think that seemed like something that most people could go out there and do.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the games events this year were pretty crazy and pretty undoable.
Things that people couldn't physically do.
Even like just to swim at Santa Monica Pier, that was I'm not sure if you've read up on it, but like there's like lots of shark sightings over there. So like, I'm not even sure that I'd be willing to go out for the swim, you know?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, like I was reading up on it, like on the way there, and there's been lots of shark sightings over there, and you know, it's pretty intense. Like, you know, I think you have to be fearless in a certain way to become a CrossFit Games athlete, because you're going out there for the unknown and unknowable, really. You know, whether it's a pegboard or the murky waters of not Santa Monica, Hermosa Beach Pier. All right, teams.
Teams.
What did you think?
CrossFit Mayhem Freedom taking it out. I had no idea how that'd go, just because Rich was leading the pack. You know, who knew they were going to win?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like the meme that's on Facebook at the moment, or on Instagram. It's Rich with you know, his 2010 photo from 2011 after he wins the game, and it's the whole, you know, oh, I don't always win the CrossFit Games, and then the bottom jokes, yes I do.
yeah. Like, I knew the guys in the team, but I didn't know the girls.
Yeah.
Had no idea what they were going to be able to do. They weren't really very high for much of the weekend.
Little by little bit, just like Rich does in his
on the
other
last
competitions. Just climbs right from the hand, gets you on the last day.
Yeah, very typical Rich style.
Very
Definitely coming back at the end there.
Yeah.
I think NorCal CrossFit, with what happened with Miranda.
ACL tear in the clean and jerk event. Pretty heartbreaking. I think a lot of the team got pretty upset about you know what was happening to her, and you know the fact that there was the rules of the game saying that the team basically couldn't complete all the amount of work at a lot of the competitions. They weren't allowed to compete in a lot of the events.
I think they should have let them try. I mean, just because they were a man down, the workouts were done in a way that I think they probably could have just let the 5 of them do it. You know, it would have been very cool to see them let another female repeat the workout that was the individual workout. That would have been good. It would have been good to see them try the last workout, 50 clean and jerks per time with that slug, is that what they call it?
Yeah, the slug, yeah.
Would have been good to see them try. They still, I don't know if they came first or they did really well in one of the events when there was only 5 of them in it. So they could have maybe stayed in the podium, had a podium finish if they had let them do it with the 5.
Yeah, I mean, they still beat, how many teams were there? 40, 30? They still were in 10th place at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, after, you know, despite being one man, one woman down, you know, for a lot of the events. So, big testament to them. They're winning. They were definitely going to be one of the winners of the games. Who knows, you know, would have Ben Smith won if Rich Frank was competing in individual, would have NorCal won if, would have made CrossFit Mayhem Freedom won if NorCal was healthy with Miranda. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? So interesting to see what will happen next year, whether Rich decides to go back to individual.
Yeah, they said that, they said to Rich, oh, you know, going to keep doing teams, and he goes, oh, my new goal is to win teams, and he did win teams. So what will happen next year? Will he move back to individual or try teams again?
Don't know, but we all know that he'll become a Masters one day and try and win that as well. So that I thought was really interesting. Negatives about the game, things that you didn't like.
I don't know, unnecessarily brutal. It was painful watching the athletes look so ruined, so physically and mentally spent. It was some rough programming. They all seemed to love it from what they said on Instagram afterwards, but I don't know. There couldn't have been some very impressed people, particularly after Murph not being able to straighten your arms and stuff. That was hard to watch. But pegboard, probably shouldn't have thrown it in there. So many people didn't even get one rep on that.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the place for it, you know. What do you reckon?
I thought the sandbag event was really boring. I wanted to shoot myself a little bit. I know they try and make a lot of this, maybe the workout states had a friendly, but that was really boring.
5 people at a time, 6 people at a time.
5 people at a time, lots of heats, lots of people, lots of times, lots of sandbags. Lots of people just wondering why they're not taller, trying to throw it over. And that was one event that was a little bit too much biased towards someone who was taller.
Yeah.
And another event that I thought was really boring to watch, obviously the pegboard, because nothing was happening. And the assault bike only being out there for 15 calories. and only being used by maybe a tenth of the people because nobody got there. So one of the most brutal pieces of cardio equipment was barely used. I thought that could have been better utilised at a different stage of the games.
But it was interesting that they brought in a yoke, but that was kind of a boring workout. A run and the yoke carry.
Yeah, it could maybe a little bit boring workout. I watched it in the HSGT lounge under the air conditioner, so I didn't mind it too much on the big screen. I was quite happy to just hang out there for most of the event because it was a pretty good view. But yeah, the yoke didn't look heavy enough for people, which is mean to say, but that definitely could have been heavier. What people probably don't know is the pig, that big ass pig thing, the GE, that big red, is so fucking heavy. I tried to pick it up over at the rogue stand and I couldn't at all. I couldn't budge it. I started picking it up and I felt every single little muscle in my hamstring start to pull. Not in a good way, in a really bad way. So that, I think that there alone made me realise that these guys are on a whole different, field of strength and.
Spencer Hendel, I think you missed that, but when he was flipping that pig, you would have thought it was a 20 kilo bar.
Oh really? Wow.
He so fast, didn't stop to breathe at all, and no other athlete out there could do that. Must have been too heavy for a few. I think there were some girls that didn't even flip it.
Were there any guys that didn't flip it?
No.
Because then I would feel much better about myself.
They all flipped it, but I'm not sure if they all finished the flip.
What, just one flip? Anybody who just got one flip?
No. Chances are, I think all of them still flipped it.
Really? That's what I wasn't here.
Okay, I think they all flipped it, but they got stuck in the rope.
Okay, well, I wish there was like a women's version of the pig out there so I could have flipped that and I felt better about myself. But no, it was really heavy. And it was like almost no way of proving it either. And it was like, probably there's no chalk out there. And the one that I went to flip had a lot of sweat under it. And I don't know, like after that, I think that was a big testament to them. I don't care how many bar muscle ups you can do, if you can flip that pig, you're a bloody strong human being. I really like the 15, 10, 6 workout, the bar muscle up and thruster one.
Still don't know what that rep scheme meant.
Maybe
anyone watches this, post in the comments.
Yeah, tell us what it means, because Dave Castro said figure it out, and I haven't figured it out. So I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, that was a really cool workout. I suck at bar muscle ups, but I think the day that I can do that workout, I think I'll finally be happy with my bar muscle ability. Amanda Goodman, machine at bar muscle ups. Olsen, machine. Camille, machine. It was really cool. That was a really cool workout to see. And it was amazing to see how good some people were at that workout, and amazing to see how shit some other people were at that workout.
Yeah, actually. And the Tumblecliff, who started off really strong, was really, top 5 for a lot of the weekend. She barely got through that event.
Yeah. So that definitely crushed a couple of people. Other events, we had the speed snatch ladder. That was okay to watch.
The rope climbs, the legless rope climbs, had a lot of people.
Yeah, the rope.
But Fraser didn't finish that workout. That was one of his worst finishes, 32nd or something.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get through the rope climbs, legless rope climbs.
Yeah,
he got through the fat rope, but not the spinning rope.
Yep. So obviously, people out there aren't doing enough legless rope climbs or pegboarding enough.
No.
So keep working that upper body gymnastics.
Pegboarding enough.
Trust me, right now there's people pegboarding all over the world.
Probably.
Preparing for the games, #2020. And we will be introducing one to the gym. I think we definitely need to build one before here at CrossFit Down Under. Pegboard.
I'd be more keen on just a rock climbing wall.
Yeah. With pegs?
No.
Where?
Hands. Traditionally, just hands on rocks.
They didn't have rocks.
Hands on rocks.
At the games. So
Hands on rocks. Rock climbing, way cooler.
Have a pegboard.
And more achievable.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I reckon we should stop.
And what else? The yoke run. What was after that? Pedal to the metal.
Was
one?
it sprint? No, sprint was before that.
What was pedal to the metal one? That was a pegboard. Pedal to the metal. Oh, it's deficit. Apparently handstand push-ups. Got a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they were just spent. They were dead.
They were dead. And it was
Or Connor Porter. What did he get? 7?
He got 7 in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
I was rooting for Easy Muhammad, who in the past has not done really well with handstand push-ups. And I was really happy that he finished the 12 in the 7-minute time cap. That was really cool to see. He's a CrossFit athlete and a grid athlete, so the grid season's about to start over in August, September, August. So look out for him at the grid. Other people that we were really impressed with, it was good to see Lucas Parker do a bit better this year than other years.
Yeah, didn't he have rhabdo last year or something?
Yeah, he got rhabdo last year.
Yeah.
But so did half the people this year, so. I mean, I'm sure they did, like with the heat and stuff. And yeah, anyway, that's our recap of the 2015 games. If you haven't already watched them, go over to the CrossFit website. They've got links over there, or go to ESPN if you're in America, wherever it is you need to go. And yeah, it was really cool. Definitely go really watch the events, watch the team events, because Rich is in there and that makes it a bit more enjoyable to watch. And yeah, that should be pretty cool. That's pretty much it. As always, guys, thank you for listening. Share the show, tell your friend, tell your grandma, tell your mum, tell your brothers, tell your best friends about the show. Share it on Facebook, on Instagram, every platform of social media that you can. If you haven't already, go to our website and subscribe on our newsletter. As always, it's Raul, it's Lauren, for the first time. Hopefully she'll come back on. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care and peace. Hey guys, what's up? It's Raul here, coming to you with something RXC. Don't leave us hanging, guys. Subscribe, the top button is right there. Make sure to press that subscribe button so you can stay updated with all our videos. Take care and peace.